The rain had just stopped when Ethan Walker carried 2 bags of groceries down the narrow street of Maple Lane. The evening sky was painted gray, and the smell of wet asphalt filled the quiet neighborhood. Ethan was 36, a single dad, and a mechanic who worked long hours just to keep things together for his 10-year-old daughter, Lily. They had just moved into this part of town, a small rented house, cracked paint on the walls, but warm enough to feel like a home. Ethan was still learning who lived around them. Every day on his walk to the garage, he'd noticed one house on the corner, the one with peeling blue shutters and an old wooden chair on the porch. Someone always sat there. That someone was an old woman. He'd seen her a few times, always alone, wrapped in a shawl even when the sun was out. Her eyes, pale and distant, followed people passing by, like she was waiting for someone who never came. That afternoon, as he and Lily passed by, Ethan noticed the lights in her house were off, though it was almost dark. The porch chair was empty. Something tugged at him, an instinct he didn't ignore. "Daddy, isn't that the lady who always sits there?" Lily asked, clutching his arm. "Yeah," Ethan said, glancing at the quiet house. "Maybe she's just inside." But the way the place looked, dark, lonely, forgotten, bothered him. So after dinner, when Lily had finished her homework, Ethan grabbed an umbrella and walked over. The porch creaked under his boots. He knocked softly. No answer. He knocked again, louder this time. "Hello, ma'am." "It's your neighbor, Ethan. Just checking if you're okay." A faint sound came from inside, a soft thump, followed by a weak voice. "Come in, the door's open." Ethan hesitated, then pushed the door open. The house was dimly lit by a single candle on the table. Dust floated in the air, and the air smelled faintly of medicine. On the couch, under a worn blanket, lay the old woman. Her silver hair was tied back loosely, and her hands trembled as she tried to pull the blanket up. Her wheelchair sat nearby. "I didn't mean to intrude," Ethan said, gently stepping closer. "I just wanted to make sure you're all right." The woman smiled faintly. "People don't usually knock here anymore." Ethan crouched beside her. "Are you hurt?" "No," she said softly. "Just old bones and a stubborn heart." She looked at the candle, then back at him. "It's my birthday today. 80 years old. I thought I'd celebrate, but my son hasn't called in 3 years. I guess he forgot." Ethan felt a lump form in his throat. "I'm sorry. You shouldn't be alone today." Her eyes glistened. "That's just how life is, young man. One day people stop knocking." But Ethan couldn't just leave. Not tonight. He smiled and said, "Wait here, okay?" He hurried back home, heart heavy but determined. Lily was still awake, coloring at the table. "Sweetheart," he said, grabbing his jacket. "How do you feel about a little surprise birthday party?" "For who?" she asked, curious. "For the lady next door." 10 minutes later, they returned, Lily holding a small cupcake with a candle stuck in the middle. Ethan carried a thermos of hot soup, some bread, and a blanket. When they stepped into the old woman's house, she looked up in shock. Lily walked right up to her with a bright grin. "Happy birthday." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then the woman covered her mouth, tears falling freely. "Oh my, I don't remember the last time someone said that to me." Ethan smiled softly. "Well, we can't have you spending it alone, can we?" He set the food on the table and poured her some soup. Lily carefully lit the candle on the cupcake. "Make a wish," she said excitedly. The woman's wrinkled hands shook as she brought them together. "I've got nothing left to wish for," she whispered. "Then wish for us," Lily said innocently, "that we'll come again." The old woman laughed through her tears. "All right, my dear. I wish for that." She blew out the candle. The tiny flame flickered out, but the warmth in the room grew stronger. They spent the evening talking. Her name was Margaret Wilson, though everyone called her Maggie. She had once been a piano teacher. Her husband had passed away 15 years ago. Her son had moved across the country and stopped calling after her stroke left her paralyzed from the waist down. "I used to play music every night," she said wistfully. "Now the house just listens to silence." Ethan glanced at the corner where a dusty upright piano sat. Half the keys were yellowed, but it still looked sturdy. Lily's eyes lit up. "Daddy plays a little." Ethan chuckled. "Not much anymore." Maggie smiled. "Would you play something for an old woman?" He hesitated, then sat at the piano and pressed a few keys. The notes were off, but familiar. He began playing a soft melody, a tune his late wife used to love. The sound filled the house, soft and broken, but beautiful. Maggie closed her eyes, and for the first time in years, she smiled without sadness. When the song ended, Lily clapped her hands. "That was so pretty," Maggie whispered. "That sounded like home." That night, Ethan fixed her a proper dinner and made sure she had her medicine. When he left, she held his hand tightly. "You brought life back into this house." "Thank you. Anytime," Ethan said. "You're family now." Over the next few weeks, they visited her every evening. Lily would bring her drawings, and Ethan repaired things around the house, replaced a broken window, fixed her wheelchair, and even installed a small ramp at her porch. The neighbors started noticing. Some began dropping by too, an old mailman, a nurse, even a few kids who waved on their way to school. The lonely house with peeling paint began to glow again, with laughter, lights, and the smell of fresh coffee. One day, Ethan came home from work and found Maggie sitting outside smiling. Her eyes were brighter, her cheeks fuller. "I've been waiting for you," she said. "I had a call today." "From your son?" he asked hopefully. She nodded slowly. "He found out I wasn't doing well. Said he'd come next month." "That's great, Maggie," Ethan said, truly happy for her. She looked down. "But you know what? Even if he didn't call, I'd be all right now. Because you and Lily reminded me that love doesn't always come from blood." Ethan swallowed hard. "You did the same for us. My wife's been gone for years, and Lily never had a grandmother. You filled that space." Her hand trembled as she reached for his. "Then let's promise to never let birthdays go lonely again." "Promise," he said. A few weeks later, the day came when Maggie's son finally visited. But when he stepped inside and saw how alive the house had become, flowers on the table, music from the piano, photos of her and Lily framed on the wall, he broke down crying. "I should have been here," he said. Maggie smiled through tears. "You're here now, and I had family before you came." She looked at Ethan and Lily, who stood by the door. "They gave me more than I ever dreamed of." From that day on, Maggie never spent a day alone again. Ethan's small acts of kindness had rebuilt more than a home. He'd rebuilt a life. Months later, as spring came, Maggie sat on her porch in her favorite chair, watching Lily chase butterflies in the yard. Ethan handed her a cup of tea. She looked up at the blue sky and said softly, "You know, Ethan, I think God sent you that night. On my birthday." Ethan smiled. "Maybe he did. Or maybe he just wanted someone to remind you you're still loved." Maggie chuckled. "Either way, I'm grateful." The wind carried the scent of blooming flowers. The street that once echoed silence now hummed with laughter and life. And every year after that, on her birthday, neighbors would gather on that same porch, cupcakes, music, and a piano tune floating through the air. Because one rainy evening, a single dad decided to knock, and it changed everything.